Thanks, Josh. That was really cool. It's really interesting how our industry is evolving so fast. If we had had that at the beginning of our study, if we had had those lenses, it would add a lot of value to the data that we're getting at the end of our study. When you talk about what we're up to right now at Sydnexis, we're developing, as you might have heard this morning, a low-dose atropine drop to treat pediatric myopia progression in kids. I'm the president of Sydnexis, and so what we embarked upon back in 2014 was to create a novel formulation that we could use in the clinic that would be shelf life stable and that would be able to manage this progression of myopia in kids we saw this epidemic coming from Asia that would soon hit the US, that we would anticipate to be able to treat these patients as they're coming through our pipeline here. So I don't think I need to go into a lot of discussion about what myopia is. We heard that this morning. There is a highly genetic component to myopia, and there's also this environmental component that's actually exacerbating the myopia epidemic, right? Too much of this near vision activity is really making it a lot worse, and we're seeing the incidence of myopia increase dramatically in the last couple of years. Why do we need to treat myopia? Most people have thought it's a benign refractive disorder, just use glasses. Well, remember, the glasses treat the symptoms, and what we're trying to do is treat the disease. This is a disease-modifying agent. We want to prevent all of these comorbidities that you see here on the right from happening as these kids age. There's a lot of myopes out there. There's 27 million right now. There's going to be 30 million, according to literature, in 2032. About 60% of them are mild, but there are about 40% that are moderate or severe. And you can do the math pretty quickly. 40% of 30 million kids. That's a lot of kids that really need treatment. There's a lot of public awareness that has been growing and expanding over the last handful of years. Congress has gotten involved. They sent a letter to the CDC saying, what are we as a nation doing about this myopia epidemic we're seeing in Asia? Are we ready for it? And so there is now bipartisan legislation that's in front of Congress it's called the EDVI Act, and it's to fund vision screening programs in kids so we can catch these kids early. That's one of the themes of what we're finding is get kids, treat them early in this disease process. The AAO, the American Academy of Ophthalmology, has established a global myopia task force in combination with 3 other associations in order to get ahead of this disease, diagnose it, come up with treatment options, set preferred practice patterns. Apple, they've installed a mechanism in their iOS 16 and later. It's called an anti-myopia mechanism, and it's for kids that do too much of this. If they're doing too much screen time, screen shuts off, says the phone is too close, sends a note to mom and dad saying your kid's doing too much near vision activity, could lead to myopia. It's already on the iPhones. And finally, I mentioned this morning, but United Healthcare is getting involved too. They joined the Global Myopia Awareness Coalition, and so United Healthcare is anticipating this wave of activity of dollars that they're seeing in their formularies, and they're trying to get ahead of it. So at Sydnexis, we're developing this unique, novel, low-dose atropine formulation. Turns out atropine is highly susceptible to base-catalyzed hydrolysis. That means it degrades really fast if you don't know what you're doing. So we've had the pleasure of developing this formulation for the last 10-plus years. It's highly proprietary, patented left, right, and center. We have 11 patents that cover the product in the U.S. alone, which allows us to provide a drug product with high drug activity, 3 years stable shelf life at room temperature, and it's very comfortable. So what have we done? We've created the largest study ever conducted in this space, 850 kids. This is a 6-year endeavor that we undertook. We dosed our last patient yesterday. Last patient, last visit. 852 kids later, millions of eye drops later. I think we had 1.6 million eye drops during this study, so really happy to announce that. Our goal was to provide a broad study for labeling purposes and for reimbursement purposes. We have 3 to 14-year-olds, no restriction on age entry in the US and EU. We've submitted our NDA now down to the FDA, and we've submitted our MAA to the EMA in Europe. We're expecting an approval in Europe next month, and our PDUFA date in the US is October 23rd. So when you run the largest study ever conducted in this space, you learn a few things. The two key takeaways that we have that we can talk about now before we're able to really talk about our data. One, formulation is critical. Formulation matters. You have to come up with a formulation that maintains the efficacy of the drug and also bioavailability and comfort. It's critical. And the second key takeaway is the patient. What I think a lot of the focus is going to be once our data comes out is that you have to understand where the patient is, who that patient is, where they are in their myopia kind of journey. Are they early? Are they late? And that's going to be critical to treating these kids. So the goal of all of us, of course, is to manage myopia as effectively as possible in these kids. And we think our data from the largest clinical study ever conducted in this space, when we release it at the AAO, is going to really help the healthcare providers to manage this disease more effectively. So thank you very much.
Thank you.